Theodorou welcomes you to the David Game Horizon Pods. Today, I have the pleasure to have with me members of the University of Surrey team in our university series of podcasts. And with me, I have three members of the team. I will start with the most important one here today, if I may say so, Ryan Miles. He's the regional manager of the Americas and Europe. And you recently joined the team in January of this year.
That's right, yes.
That's right. Welcome, Ryan.
I don't think I'm the most important one here, though. So.
We'll get to that, yes. And with me, we have Kate Heathward, who knows David Game quite well. And she's an international officer, but specializing in UKI.
Yeah,
and that's international students in the United Kingdom. Kate, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back.
Thank you very much for coming. And we have with us a student ambassador. This is the first student ambassador we've had from the current series. Aleksandria Rusimova. I must get that right. Aleksandria, you're from Bulgaria?
Yes, I am. I came to the UK in September of 2020 to do my undergraduate in international relations back at University of Surrey. And I just loved it so much that I continued within my master's degree in international relations, international intervention, again at the University of Surrey. I built a community that just lasted throughout the years, and I didn't want to leave it. The university provides a great experience for everyone, so just excited to be here.
Excellent. I'm sure you've got a lot to tell us about the important things about the university that you've experienced. And obviously the students and parents would like to hear about other things like accommodation and the challenges of sometimes living outside of the halls of residence and things like that. But we'll get into the detail later in the podcast. I think first of all, I want to talk about the university and then move on to how our relationship has grown with University of Surrey and David Game College. The question's open to either Kate or Kyle and to Ryan. And the question is, tell me a little bit about the history of the university and then where it is located.
Perfect. So the University of Surrey, we're actually over 100 years old as an institution. Although we became a university in the 1960s, from the late 1800s, we were a science and engineering technical college. And so that's definitely where we still have our strengths, but we are more than just science. We have a really great social science and business school, as well as the Guildford School of Acting, which joined the University of Surrey in 2010. And kind of the combining of those faculties means that we have this conservatoire experience within the wider university. It's a great combination of both for those students, and it's a great benefit to us as well, because it means that we have world-class acting and musical theatre students on our doorstep with performances that is open to the public as well as, of course, to our student body and staff. I think a recent performance of the musical Carrie was one of my favorites. I think as a university, we're a medium-sized campus-based university. So we're super close to London. It's just a half an hour fast train. But we're based in the town of Guildford. So Guildford's this beautiful old market town with history that goes back to the Norman castle ruins that we have in the center of it. We're very much a modern town. Even before the railways, we're kind of like the commuter belt for London, that link between London and Portsmouth. And so we have great connections to the big city for that cultural life, where the Londoners go to get out of the hustle and bustle, but remain close enough for that work and culture.
I think it's one thing that here is kind of a unique sell about Surrey, and it's also what the parents really like, is that we're in a place like Guildford. So it was recently voted as one of the safest
student 2023.
Student town.
Yeah, that's very important, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very important.
Yes.
So when we talk to students, when we talk to parents, we have two different ways of discussing Guildford. So with the parents, Guildford's a very safe, green campus. And then to students, 30 minutes to London. So it's the best of both worlds, it really is.
Well, obviously, the parents' perception of what their children where they're going to study is different to what the student wants.
Exactly.
And we have to obviously, especially undergraduate level, our ear has to be with the parents, I think, a bit more than the students when it comes to that. But is it a campus-based university?
It is, yeah. So we have two campuses. We have Stag Hill campus and Manor Park campus, both enclosed. Accommodation runs on our campus, so it's usually 5 to 10 minutes walk maximum between.
If you wanted to wake up just before your lecture, you can still make it. Obviously, now all of our students are waking up, having a good breakfast, maybe even going for a run around the lake. But like it is all walkable and
It is, yeah.
real
It's,
community vibe.
and for our security as well. So it's a very safe campus. Maybe you could give some of your experience as well.
Yeah, throughout my 5 years in this university, I've never felt threatened in any shape or form. It's always been such a pleasure to just be around that. The walk between the campuses is quite short, around 15 minutes. If you want to be faster, you can do it in 10. Usually no. But
I'm sure there's a bus. Is there a university
there's a bus as well. It usually runs in between like 15 minutes during the week. It's only 10 minutes. Then you have the bus towards town as well. It's around 10 minutes.
Okay, good.
And town is from the main campus. Stag Hill is around 10 minutes to town. Like very walkable town in general, which is very nice, especially since you want to enjoy the weather sometimes as well. And you don't need to rely only on like cars, buses. You can always bike if you want to, so it's quite nice.
Yes, and further to our discussion about the campus and the two campuses that you have, I'd be interested to find out what the student population is and how it divides between international and domestic.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we mentioned that we're a medium-sized university. That means we have around 16,600 roughly student population. That's split between our undergrads and postgrads. And over a quarter of that, just under a third, are international. And that's from all over the world, including,
But I also want to mention that even though it seems like a small number of international students, because of the way the UK background is structured, a lot of the students might be considered home student, but they're also from different ethnicities and provide different cultural backgrounds and senses to the campus.
Yes, you're totally right there. Yes, that's right.
It's a very diverse student body. It's great.
Yeah, I mean that's important. Are there any particular folk countries which you have higher number of students on campus?
Still from a good Chinese and Indian populations, definitely. But then
I think we're quite unique in the fact that we have a wide spread of countries. So not a concentration of one particular nationality. So
it's hard to pull up.
So you'll find that we have quite a large number of European countries representing our campus. South Asia is a big one. East Asia. But then we have emerging markets in South America as well, where the students are coming through as well. Have quite a heavy contingent of US and Canadian students as well.
One of our student ambassadors is one of our doing the MA in acting. He's from Canada, and we're gonna really miss him when he goes. He's absolutely great.
The GSA tends to attract quite a lot of North American students.
We actually have we do our kind of interviews for GSA in Philadelphia as part of the recruitment cycle, which is pretty good. That's handled by GSA itself. So broad and far-ranging, which is quite great, and it just adds to the fabric.
On the two campuses, what courses are there?
So the faculties are actually split quite nicely between the campuses. So Stag Hill has two of our major faculties. You've got FEPS, which is our Faculty of Engineering and Physical Sciences, and then FABS, which is our Faculty of Arts, Business and Social Sciences. It's also GSA based on Staghill as well.
Right.
And then over in Manor Park is a bit more specialist towards kind of the health aligned subjects. So you have the Faculty of Health and Medical Sciences over there. So you have veterinary medicine and also the health and medical programs as well.
That's right, which we'll probably talk a little bit about what type of courses you offer within the medicine and veterinary medicine as well. That's great. And I think the important thing for parents as well, especially international parents, which we basically focus on here at our college, is the fact of the rankings of the university. Some parents do take that into consideration far more than others. Others may look at courses rather than the overall ranking. But tell me a little bit about Surrey's ranking.
So I think we're quite lucky at Surrey that we've got this great overall ranking as well as really great subject-based rankings. I think when you're looking at a university, it's important to look at both. Normally we suggest it really is course-led. If you want to go for chemical and petrochemical engineering, we're really well known for that in the UK, where I think, as well as aerospace, where we're top 5 in the UK, or overall, the university, according to the Guardian rankings, University Guide in 2025, we're 19th in the UK. That's kind of really consistent across our faculties as well. And you can really see that we have specialties from the health sciences. I think our vet school is in the top 10. Psychology we're really well known for. Our hospitality and tourism school is second in the world in according to Shanghai rankings, and so
You'll be
and number 1 in the UK.
beating this, or the Swiss come at number 1, I think, and then
I think it's Hong Kong actually.
It's Hong Kong Poly, yeah.
Hong Kong Poly comes. So we beat the Swiss. I met the Swiss, hotel, one of the Swiss hotel schools. I was like,
yes.
Recently, yeah.
Well, good.
So that's that ranking perspective. I think there are other rankings.
There's the global ranking, because that's another important thing for certain, I think, governments that send scholarship students. So
So
Brian?
the QS World University Rankings, we're 262nd.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, it's a great position to be in. And then we're slightly higher in the Times Higher Education World University Rankings. I think we're 233rd, top 250.
That's not bad at all. Very good. And I think the important thing here for parents to understand that there are the Russell Group universities, which are 24 of them. Well, you come 19th. So you're not a Russell Group university. That confuses people, doesn't it? They say, well, are you better than them? And then you look at the individual subject rankings, and you're higher than even sometimes probably Oxford and Cambridge.
Yeah.
Which shows that your research is top, and obviously your staff and professors that you have there must be elitists within their subject areas.
I do think that that's an important aspect, but I think the more important aspect is, especially when you're looking at undergraduate studies, are things like student experience and student satisfaction, and that's where I think Surrey really excels. So we're 11th in the UK.
We're 11th in the UK, and we've always been really high ranked for it.
Yeah, we've been really highly ranked for those two particular aspects. And then our careers and placement service is one of the strongest in the country.
Award winning.
We have a really good placement provision in the third year of the program.
I think that's very important because kids these days graduate and some don't get a job that they want, and they move into a different area that they don't really want to progress to. But I think that's every university should have that. But I'm glad that Surrey is in the tops there.
It's also important that you can use the career and employability services 3 years after you graduate. So essentially, you're not just left to fend for yourself. You still have that support from your alumni. So it's really nice.
Alumni. Do they have a strong alumni association?
Yes, we do.
Good.
We also have this program called Forever Surrey, which is, I receive emails every single week from them.
Very good.
So they still keep that connection between university students even after they leave Surrey. And as a student, I can definitely see that connection being stronger with every year. You will always catch students that have graduated like 3 years ago still coming back to Surrey because they miss it so much. They miss the experience that they had. They miss the campus, the lake. They miss the occasional stag that they see on campus.
Right. Well, I think that's kind of an international student, and families like that type of university campus life. Yeah.
It definitely
Albeit there are city universities, Birmingham, London, Edinburgh, and so forth. And some parents or students like to be within a city environment because they come from a city. I mean, that's fabulous. And we touched on alumni, and I'd like to ask you a bit more about it, because alumni are important. And I know the Americans do a good job with their alumni, but our UK universities are not as advanced in developing their alumni association. So tell me about how efficient or effective Surrey's is.
Yeah, so I think we've got two interesting perspectives we can offer here. So, for instance, as an international student, as an international officer at the University of Surrey, I travel a lot for work. And when we travel, we try and get our alumni involved. And so I know that when I went to Hong Kong last year, I was able to do an alumni dinner with students who graduated in the last 5 years. And this was both the undergrad and postgrad, and it was a really lovely small group who have definitely continued on without me. So, by the time I left, I was still jet lagged, and so I needed to leave early, and I just left them to it. And they were still chatting very strong by the time I left. And it was great because it was bringing together, these graduates from the past 5 years and from a whole bunch of different backgrounds who, they hadn't actually met each other before when they're on campus, but they're able to connect now that they've returned to Hong Kong. And so that's just a snapshot from my experiences. I know that we bring alumni as much as possible. Like, for instance, when we're visiting different student fairs, we'll have students previous alumni will just come and join us on the stand, and they do this. I'm pretty sure. Just because they want to share their experiences.
Well, I think it's important, especially when you're abroad and you're on a stand at an education fair, and a parent comes or a student comes. They'd like to hear from a former student, because they'll believe the former student far more than they will believe you, because you want to make sure you're going to sell. And I found that as a very valuable experience, and that's what we try to do at David Game as well. Have alumni attend events, go to schools, and do the presentations for us. There's nothing like a student standing up there, and you can sit down and don't need to answer any questions.
But also there are a lot of different options outside of the ones that Kate mentioned.
Yeah, this is my perspective. We have an entire alumni team, so we basically contact the alumni team and go, hi.
We have the Forever Surrey Fund that the previous students of the University of Surrey can contribute to, but also they organize different dinners in different spots around the world. I know that Dubai is quite famous one.
Yes.
When it comes to that, we also have different events throughout the year that allow us to connect with the current students, as this is the standpoint of alumni. But grad sport is one of them. We have
That's always so much fun.
It is very fun, but it is competition between current students and alumni in the different sports that we provide at Surrey, and it's quite fun to just watch them back at it again. We have this very interesting team. It's a football team, and they're in their 60s at this point, and they're still playing, and they're so lively. And it's interesting.
Into 60. There we are.
No.
There we are.
But, and you can see them still reliving their student years and participating in such a lively way, where
Competing against these youngsters.
and still winning against them,
There we are.
which is so fun to watch. And
That's wonderful.
Well, I think that's important, because you're talking about alumni who were students 40 years before.
Yeah.
And they're still willing to be part of the university's life and give back as well. An important thing as well is networking. That's the one most valuable thing. That's why having such, you mentioned it, Aleksandria, you talked about meeting all different nationalities from all different parts of the world, following all different courses throughout the world. And you never know one day when you might be in a working environment, oh my God, I need somebody in Uzbekistan somewhere. And then saying, oh, my classmate, or somebody who was a friend of mine. That, I think, is very valuable. And that's part of that education system that our university would provide.
I agree completely.
Absolutely.
You don't really realize until you go out to the countries how strong the alumni networks are.
Yeah, they're always approaching me going, hi, I graduated. I remember the cathedral.
Yeah,
And I'm just like,
you go to an education fair and you're talking to a student, and suddenly the parents come over with a big smile on their face and thinking, why have they got such a big smile? And say, I studied with you. I'm an alumni, and I'm introducing my child to you. And it's such a good feeling. It is, isn't it? It is.
Well, that means a lot. If the parent has enjoyed that experience, obviously they'll pass it on to their children or family and friends. And I think that's exactly how we work here as David Game. Most of our students come from recommendations and from family, siblings and so forth. And there's nothing better than that, because you know you're getting the right type of student coming to your university or to the college. One question I wanted to ask you, Aleksandria, is why did you choose Surrey?
Oh, that's a quite interesting one, actually. When I started to apply for universities, I was really convinced that I'm going to apply for Dutch universities. So my my experience started with researching Dutch universities at the beginning. I was 1 year. It was 1 year before I graduated, basically, and I was researching them, and something just didn't click within them, I feel like. And then obviously I applied in the last minute possible, which is not very advisable for anyone. But the idea of going to a UK university came up from one of my closest friends at the time. She decided to study in the UK. She talked to my mom, and my mom was like, oh yes, try that, research that. And I was like, okay, mom, whatever you say. And I was researching for universities, and 3 of the 5 options were London ones. So King's, I think, USL and LCE were part. They were part of the ones, and then Surrey was the 4th one. But I discovered the University of Surrey through the Bulgarian Society. I somehow found their page on my Instagram through a previous alumni. He was a swimmer, and I was just like, oh, they seem like very lovely. The university seems quite nice as well. Let me research into that. And when it came to the decision of which university to choose, because I was so traumatized from COVID.
Oh, well, you're a COVID, yeah.
Because I'm a COVID child. My first year was spent in COVID.
Oh, wow.
So I decided that I would put the comfort of the countryside and the small community over just choosing a London one and making it harder for myself. I think that's a very important thing to just use in general, is like, what is going to be the best environment for you to make that transition from school to university years, because it is a really huge difference. In my experience, it was. And making sure that the environment you're staying in is comfortable for you, and it's a friendly environment and everyone is there to help you, is very, very important for the student experience. Hence why our rankings in student experiences are so high, because the university tries so hard to provide services available to every student to make sure that they feel like they belong to the
Very good.
university,
Excellent.
and that they have different representation from every single part of the world. And
So you made a lot of good friends, yes?
yeah, of course. I've made a lot of friends from everywhere in the world.
Yes.
I
Do you think that's an important experience?
I think it's so important, and it really helps you integrate within the society you're located in. I feel like people that try to stay within the communities that are very similar to theirs do not really succeed in integrating themselves and feeling at home, which is why Surrey tries to make as many as possible events about belonging and integrating, and making sure that within the first week before you start university, you meet as many people as possible, and you have different events where you can meet other students outside of your course, outside of the halls you're going to live in. So, yeah.
No, very good. I mean, I think that's what you've said is so important for parents and students to hear, because that applies to anywhere in the United Kingdom or anywhere abroad you go to study. You got to find the right environment to be able to feel comfortable in, and for you to stay. A lot of students, when they finish their undergraduate, usually then go do the postgraduate somewhere else. But you stayed there because obviously of all these benefits and all this, you were very satisfied and felt comfortable being there. Yeah.
Yeah, there are definitely several reasons I decided to stay at Surrey, even for my postgraduate. I know it's not the typical pathway for a lot of students, but I knew the department that I was going to be in. I knew every single professor. I've created and nurtured a relationship with them, because it's very important, especially in smaller departments. You'll be able to create that relationship with every single one of them. Or if you're into a bigger one, you will have your personal tutor throughout the years you're studying there. You will have a mental health professor, which focuses on mental health usually, and it's like the first stop after the personal tutor if you have any issues with your mental health. And afterwards, the second reason was a lot of my friends are staying. So a lot of my friends are either studying or working for the Students' Union. And I just decided that I don't want to change that environment for myself. Also, Surrey provides a discount, which is quite nice.
On my disco.
There we are. Yes.
It's 20% off, so
Because you're an international student now, aren't you?
I'm still considered a home student.
Oh, still considered okay.
Yeah.
Because you were before
Yeah, but
the
the
period
discount
from Brexit. Yes.
the discount works for everyone, and it's a quite nice addition. But it was mostly the environment, the
Did you also?
facilities.
You mentioned about the Students' Union.
Yeah.
Were you involved at all in the Students' Union?
Yes, I was involved in the Students' Union in my second year of undergraduate. I was a part-time voice officer, which is the voice zone is correlated to the democratic process within the Students' Union. So when it comes to elections of the new vice presidents and presidents,
Yep.
the students are the ones that elect them.
Good.
It's a popularity contest, but also you provide your manifesto, and they kind of prepare you if you want to go into the political side of things.
Absolutely.
And it was
Some may not. But
yeah, but it's quite interesting to work on your campaigns on such an early stage in your life. You can always be a part-time officer if you don't want to take a year off of your studies, or you can be involved in many shapes or forms within the campus itself. There are a lot of opportunities. Yeah, we have over 150 societies. I think we have around 40 clubs out of them, sports clubs. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved on campus. And I suggest to everyone that they need to get involved.
Excellent.
There's also the International Student Ambassador Scheme as well.
So yeah, that I participated.
Well, we have a clear understanding of now the university and the benefits of studying there. If we actually wanted to pinpoint the unique selling points of the university, so parents can say there's, these 3 or 4 elements that are so important that the university has, what would they be?
I think like that campus community and culture is something that we really encourage. It's so welcoming and international. We all celebrate each other's differences and similarities together. I think we had over 1,000 students participating in Diwali. And we're very much it's.
I think it's one of the things that makes me feel very proud to work for Surrey is that I know when students come to campus, they're going to have a great experience.
Yeah.
So important, isn't it?
It is. And it's not just the high levels of kind of contact that they have with faculty. It's also the community that the students build themselves. The clubs are very active on campus. You see them all the time doing different types of activities. And it just makes me very proud to be there. When I walk past, like Diwali, we saw it recently, didn't we? It was all over campus. It was really widely celebrated.
Also, the university and the student union really help with that, nurture this kind of relationships between the different societies. You will see lots of societies just collaborating between each other, but also the university has provided the Wednesday afternoon for clubs and societies to have social meetings.
It basically means you can't have any classes on a Wednesday afternoon. It's again with the university, just make sure that we have that like secured time for a full student life.
That's really good.
Okay.
There was one thing I wanted to ask, because we've talked about all these benefits. But tell me a little bit, Aleksandria, about the lecturers. Are they approachable? Because some lecturers, they go into the lecture room, finish, then go into their office, close their door. I don't want to see you again until the end of the exam period, when you rush back and say, I failed. So what's your experience with the lecturing at the university?
My experience with the lecturers is very, very positive. One thing about the way the feedback hours are structured within our university is that you will always have 1 hour from each lecturer each week, and they usually put a lot more hours close to the deadlines, the assessment period. So you can always book an appointment with them,
Like an open door. So
Yeah.
I will be available.
some of them are doing an open doors, another are booking appointments, but you always
But they're
can.
approachable, is that they're approachable?
They're very approachable. You can always email them with any questions you might have. Also, the way our seminars are structured, usually you have up to like 25 people in a classroom. So you build that connection with the professor or the teaching assistant. So it's quite easy to go and talk to them. And they are always open for questions, even during the seminar. Usually the seminar is that time where it's the most appropriate way to ask them. And
I think something to kind of pull out about university is that a seminar is not necessarily is different from a class. A seminar is very much about discussion among peers. It's being guided by your tutor who will throw a question and let the room kind of answer it. Obviously, in first year, people are a little bit quieter as they get used to this new format. But
It's like a tutorial system.
it's tutorial.
At school and
But
it's seminars in the university.
the lecture's seen as very much kind of dissemination of information, and then the seminar's very much teaching critical thinking. So it's all about questioning whether you understand what you've just been taught.
Well, that's the most important thing.
They really
At the end of the day, if you leave and didn't understand that in there, then you won't be able to sit an exam, will you? couple of other things before we move on. Alumni. Every university has its alumni, and Aleksandria said how efficient the alumni association is. Do you have any key alumni that people may know here in the UK or over the world? So you may be able to tell us about?
Yeah, so we're quite lucky, like I said, with our Guildford School of Acting, the GSA, and that we have people who are in Hollywood right now. There's a Theo Convey, there's Celia Imrie.
We had quite a famous British Greek alumni. If you've heard of the Mini, he was one of the designers of the Mini.
Oh, yes.
Oh, really?
Yes. Alec Isigonis.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, well,
Obviously, you have a very well known for satellite technology.
Yeah.
And there was a professor, professor who basically, I believe, was the founder of the Surrey Satellite Technology. His name was Sir Martin Sweeting.
Yes.
I think that's very important because I think that's where people see satellites being built for governments and so forth. And obviously Surrey is very well known within that field.
Yeah, we're quite lucky that we have quite a few like specialized research areas that have their own institutes kind of supporting it. There's the 5 and 6G Center, which is looking at the next gen of satellite technology. We also have our Space Center, which is pioneered small scale satellite technology for commercial use, and our faculty, our team, are very much they collaborate very closely with industry, and they're participating in constant innovation and launches. And when launch is going on, we'll bring our students in. Robotics specialisms. We have the Boston's Dynamics dog, and for instance, our robotics students in their 3rd year, they program into dance. That's one of their projects, which is always a fun one. But I think specialisms. Artificial intelligence is a buzzword, but what's really interesting about the University of Surrey and our focus on that is that our team is basically looking at people-focused artificial intelligence. So how can it be used for social good? Our academics involved also include people from from our law school, like looking at ethics of AI, and that's something that very much is occurring in our computer science. And we have a new course for electrical engineering and artificial intelligence, and one of the modules that you can explore that includes ethics of AI. We're lucky we have this really great science and technology background and strength, but we're not divorced from the humanities. Social scientists are very much interwoven into our
we've also built it into our translation and interpretation steps.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
So I think the university realised that it's going to touch every subject, no matter what we want to study. AI will be involved in the future, and as such, it's a cross-faculty.
We're so interdisciplinary, yeah.
It is.
Well, this is important because everybody's scared of AI and they believe it's going to replace the human touch or the face-to-face lecturing, and professors and unions are all scared about this. But I think there are a lot of benefits for AI, and the universities are embracing that the right way.
Yeah, and exploring the
governments
opportunities,
as well.
yeah.
Well, I just want to move on now to the next part, which is David Game College and how our partnership has developed over the year. And I'd like to thank you, Kate, for obviously moving things forward with the university. And we've now reached a stage where we have our University Foundation program, which has been accepted, and progression agreements, but also joint offers. So obviously, in the light of this, how do you see that relationship building?
Yeah, I think foundation programs are a really valuable. They have a really valuable place in the education sphere. It's particularly when you're moving between countries. It gives you that opportunity to start to dig into a subject, to get settled in the UK, and before you go into that speciality, which in the UK system is very specialized. You'll be, when it comes to engineering, for instance, there's aerospace or there's chemical and petroleum engineering. These are very different fields that you can't necessarily switch between. And so the foundations have a really important part in that step, in that journey to university. And we have a really great relationship, obviously, with David Game. And so I think when it comes to that kind of progression, we work closely with you. We've reviewed the foundation program. We see successful kind of progression from students who have, had that time at David Game. And then I think that what's nice about a dual offer is that you kind of, where your journey is. And so it's about that whole journey. Because a foundation program, it's looking at that next step. And so I think it's quite useful coming into a foundation program to know where that journey will take you and have the opportunity to speak with us when we come visit for the university first. Thank you so much for having us. Yeah.
I think the other element, Ryan, you've had a lot of experience in the field. What is the difference between A levels and a foundation?
Very different. I think with A levels, you tend to have a more general approach. So you can study, you have your 3 subjects that you study generally. Students are quite limited in what they can study. You can study either things like an English literature or mathematics or a science-based subject.
Or further math and just really knuckle down on them.
And with the foundation type program, you can really cater it specifically for the program that you want to study. So say, for instance, you want to come into a business studies program, you can do a business foundation, and it will teach you all the principles before you get to the university. And I think in many ways, you enter the first year with more of an advantage because you already have a lot of the models and systems that are in place, which you'll be taught in the first year. So you have that existing knowledge. Whereas I think, unless you've studied an A level in business, you wouldn't have been taught this before. So
Absolutely.
I also think the foundation programs serve as a really good buffer. So it might be the first time that a student's lived away from home. And for parents to have that foundation program in place, it gives them that kind of security that they know once they've passed that foundation, the university's assessed that they are definitely at the right point in their education to enter into an undergraduate degree.
Yeah. No, I think you're totally right in how you described it. And what we see from our parents is that it's the confidence of following that pathway, which we've been running for 40 years. So there's a track record. And the other important element is how close that relationship is with the university. Because some parents or some students have a particular choice of university, and they want to see, well, what guarantees do I have to go to Surrey, for example? Well, we always say we can't guarantee anything because at the end of the day, it's based on the results. But what we do have is a very strong relationship with the university. So therefore, here is a joint offer that says on successful completion and you get your grades, there we are, you're at Surrey. And that joint offer, which not all universities offer this day and age, is very important for us when we're speaking to parents and students. And that kind of helps us. So we like to thank, obviously, Surrey for choosing that opportunity for us to have joint offers. It's important for us as well. Moving on from that, the other elements that we are trying to obviously have and build our relationship is to work closer together. Because sometimes we see universities looking at a college like ours and saying, all we want is your students. And that's what we're interested in. We'll see you today, bye-bye, and see you next year. But I feel that's not something that Surrey we want to do within the plans that we have. So what kind of things are we going to have within our partnership?
Yeah, so I think like when we're talking about that student journey, like coming and exploring your options, like when it comes to university, and coming into the foundation, what we really want to do is kind of give the opportunity for students to have to maybe do a visit to campus. We are always welcoming. Like we can organize taster lectures, tours of our campus, opportunities to speak with student ambassadors like Aleksandria, and just get, that direct feedback from current international students about their experience and that option to answer any questions. I'd also like to just work generally closer with the school and offer opportunities, to potentially bring in a member of our faculty, just to talk about their subject area, about current researchers. You can kind of, talk about their research and kind of give some insight into universities beyond the academic of, I'll study these modules. Here's the actual research going on. And this is like how I came into this research field, and like how university is really about opening doors rather than closing doors.
I also think the move forward would be to work together in the various countries that we operate in. And educating students that there is a pathway to higher education, and that pathway is through David Game.
Absolutely, and thank you. I always ask this question when closing. So it's between any of you to answer. Within one sentence, tell me why our parents should send their kids to study at Surrey. In one sentence? Yeah.
Home away from home. Definitely home away from home. It does feel like it. And I feel that this college really provides that sense of home and family to students. I've visited many campuses, but I can definitely sense that types of belonging here. And I feel like it would translate well into coming to Surrey and having that same kind of feeling to students.
I think if I have to put that into one sentence, I would say the University of Surrey represents safety. And by that, I mean we have a very safe campus. We're in a great location. Student experience is really strong. Student satisfaction is really strong. But moving forwards, they have the safety that their sons or daughters will graduate from a university that has a 94% employment rate within 15 months. And the average starting salary for our international students is over £35,000. So you have all types of benefits of studying at the University of Surrey, from an excellent campus location, really high touch point university, and great opportunities beyond.
Well, I think I have to call you Professor Aleksandria now. Thank you all. It's been a pleasure to host you here at David Game College on our podcast. And to all our listeners, if you need any more information, please go to davidgamecollege.com. Thank you very much.
Thank
Look forward
you.
to the next university series.
Thank you so much for having us, Theo.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.